doing?
Welcome back.
All right, so we are continuing the series on the Fight for Love. Yesterday was our anniversary, 6 years.
Our anniversary. What was our anniversary?
So 6-year anniversary was yesterday. So happy anniversary, huh?
Happy anniversary.
And you know we're grateful to have made it 6 years. A lot of marriages don't always make it that long, and a lot of marriages go a lot longer. So that's the whole point of this series, right? The Fight for Love, and kind of talking through that. So today we're going to talk about some more like difficult topics, and I think it'll be good for us to kind of give some examples of what we dealt with, and kind of go from there. So the first of these topics is he's always on my case. Do you want to explain to the people what does it mean when you say he's always on my case? Please explain.
Yeah, so I think it's perfect we talked about yesterday. We had a little situation. So for those that do not know, we traveled to Mexico. Brandon's job, he had to go down there and work, so I tagged along for anniversary celebration week. And so Brandon and I vacation is a little different. Our perception of vacation is different. Brendan likes to like rip and run and see and travel and let's like do everything, and I'm just lay here in the bed and kind of just relax. So he was coming back from work and he was like, don't lay in this bed all day. Remind yourself how much money it costs to get here. You could be doing that back at home. I was like, oh no, he didn't.
In a much more comfortable bed.
That's true.
At home.
And so I took it as like you're trying to like be condescending to me, like trying to make it a price thing, like a money thing, a financial thing. When in reality, Brandon as we talked about, being the whole like big picture person, being detailed, he wasn't saying it in that way. He was saying in the manner of like, we're in Mexico. How often we come to Mexico? Like, make sure you're out enjoying. Don't be in the room.
Not that you don't have to enjoy or relax, right?
But just do different things, different scenery. Like he wasn't telling me to go walk like all around Mexico. That's not what he was saying. Now that we have conversation and we understand now, but it was just in the moment, obviously, just being transparent of like, well, wait, who are you talking to? Like, he talking to me? Because he did pay for me to go to Mexico, and I do appreciate that.
We paid for Mexico.
So I do appreciate that, but making sure that when you're in those experiences that you don't allow yourself to fall back to old habits. So like always on my case, I always tell Brandon like, push me, make me become better, like, and not saying that he's the one that do it, because obviously I have to do it for myself and with the Lord's help as well. But just making sure like I'm telling him that, but then like I'm like, ooh, that hurt. Like, do you need that cheeseburger? Does you want to lose weight? And then he'd be like, like the moment, like I'm just gonna put the hamburger down. But just in that, like the beautifulness in that is that yes, he's on my case, but like coming to learn that it's not like an attack. Because to me, it felt like an attack. Because growing up in my childhood, like obviously I just we're told to do things, but more so like always had support, but just it was a different manner. Brandon's like very direct. Like if you ask him to support you, he gonna support you. Like he that football coach, drop and give me the victory. You want to hit the field? Come on. You throwing up? I don't care about that. Get up.
I'm yelling at you all the time. Is that what you said?
But I'm saying in the analogy of if you want somebody to push you, that's what he's going to give you. Like, he's definitely going to push you. He's not going to be like submissive. He's not going to be like, all right, honey, you want to, he going to be tiptoeing around like, don't you want to lose weight? Like, he's not going to do that. And so I appreciate it sometimes. Sometimes I don't. Let's be honest with you. Because it's like, I'm being emotional right now. Like, let me eat this cheeseburger with the pickles and the onions and the tomatoes.
Let me just lay on this bed in the room with the windows closed.
In Mexico. But the reality of it is that it's never to like harm me, even though I take it that way sometimes. And so that's something that I'm working on. Year 6, communication is something you still work on, no matter how many years you've been married. Like, I think older couples, that's something that they work on well, because you go through different transitions. So like you get married, it's like we love each other, and then you're like, well wait, we trying to figure out how to like cohabitate with each other. And then, you know, a child come or a miscarriage come, and then you're trying to figure out how to communicate about that. But yeah, always on my case. I'm like, why are you on my case today? Like, if I go lay down in the bed and get on the phone and get on social media, like, but I thought you said you wanted to do better. Like, dang, you on my case already. But I mean, even with like studying for my boards, it was something where Brenda be like, you know, hey, hon, like, you should probably get up and study for your boards. I'm like, just give me a minute. And so it's just like making sure you appreciate, even though he's on my case, I appreciate it because I know for a fact, like, he is my number one cheerleader. Like, I know if anybody don't have my back, I know Lauren, sorry, Brenda has my back. I know for a fact, like, if I go and turn around and look and try to find somebody, I know for a fact he's gonna be there, and he's gonna be like, keep going, drop and give me 15, drop and give me 15. So yeah.
So I think if I'm hearing you right, from a relationship standpoint, like, it can feel sometimes as if your partner is like on you and really just like almost nagging you, right? Which I think is my topic. We'll talk about that in a minute. But they may be on you a lot about like things that you want, right? Things that you're guiding them to and saying like, hey, I want to achieve this, or hey, I want to achieve that. Speaking of which, somebody achieved a really big goal that we worked at for 8 years. We've been at this thing, 7, 8 years. So you want to tell the people, because this is a big one.
So I am now drum roll. I passed my boards. My NCLEX are in. So I graduated in like 2014. No, 2015 because we got married. Yeah, no, I graduated 2016. Sorry, I graduated 2016. And instead of just going straight into it and taking my boards, I would just focus on the wedding, being a fiance, soon to be a wife. And so, unfortunately, just was not successful in different stages of my life. I think I test after a miscarriage. I test kind of very frequently and was not successful, but glory to God that April 23rd, when I took my test. And when we got to Mexico, found out I passed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's all it's about. I'm going to relax.
That's all that on the case.
Yeah, that's for real. Because Brenda be like, get up, you go study. I'm putting Lauren to bed. Let's go. Get up, put that phone down. The night of my test, I'm like, okay, let me just look up something. Put that phone down. I'm like, you are on my case. But no, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So just being on one accord, understanding, learning that, you know, both of you had different lifestyles, both of you have grown up differently, and so it's important to just understand that and understand that, you know, that love and that passion may come through in a different way depending on your background. And for me, it's very direct, it's very tough love. That's how I was raised. And so, yeah, you know, when it comes to like, hey, I want you to support me, I'm gonna support you, I'm gonna push you, and it may not feel all that great in that moment, but ultimately that's what the attempt does. That being said, though, it's very important from the opposite side to recognize that you got to talk through that, right? Where we have to have communication about like, hey, this is what I'm trying to say, these are the things that I'm trying to do, and you can't be pig-headed about it, if you will, of like, well, you wanted me to help you, so here, I'm trying to help you. Because I've said that, I've been there. But as we're talking about fighting for love, like, you have to recognize that, you know, all right, let me take a step back. And, you know, in this case, my wife was not raised the same way as I was. The type of love shown is different. And so recognizing that, like, it's a support piece and I have to work with you. It's not like, well, you want me here, so why aren't you taking it? Instead, making sure to understand that, like, there's a difference in the way that we may need to approach it. So that's how we've gotten through it. There's been some battles, some ups and downs on it, but ultimately, you know, in a couple of examples, right, throughout our lives, it's got to a good space and its outcome has been positive. So, my topic. Why is she always nagging me, bro? Why is she always nagging me? So,
you ain't washed them dishes. I'm just kidding.
So, you know, a lot of couples go through this, especially from a male's perspective. Like, it's like, why is she always on my case about like this? She's nagging about that. Like, I'm just trying to sit down and relax and play a little PS5 for a minute, and somebody over here just like, you want to get up.
I'm going the same sentence with PS5, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's my way to strategize and relax. That's my brain time to just chill and do whatever. But you know, that was a big difficulty for me in our relationship over the last 6 years. It's just been like, she always got something to say about everything. Like if I want to step off to the side, got something to say about it. If I got to do this, got something to say. Well, why don't you do this? Well, why are you doing that? Okay, I'm just trying to live out here in these streets. But I would say, you know, one of the things, it's very equal to what you were sharing about, even like he's always on my case. It's very similar. So I have a lot of passions and a lot of drives and main things that kind of push me to be who I am. And there have been times in our relationship, because we focus so heavily on certain goals, where, you know, for myself, my passions and goals have kind of gone to the backseat, right? And so one of the things that Chanel has done for me is she constantly is like, hey, should you like do something instead of that? Like, should you, you know, pick up and kind of go? And there's been moments and times where it's just reversed, right, of what you were talking about, where I've kind of taken that negatively and like, yeah, you need to focus on your own self, right? Like, stop nagging me on this, right? Or, you know, a big one for me is like helping with laundry. I can't stand laundry. It's not my thing. It's just not what I do. But somebody was really nagging about the laundry. Could you help me? I need help. No such song.
I mean, it must be nice to just go in your closet and pick out nice clothes and folded things.
I don't need all
Him
that.
and you on laundry is different.
I go hang it up, and that's all I got to do.
That's that bachelor life before marriage.
Whatever. So in my world, you know, it's like, man, like you always got something to say about everything. Like it's just, I don't understand.
People even tell me, you ain't even washing the clothes. The washing machine is washing the clothes.
That's very true. I would let her know all the time, like, you don't wash it, the machine does. So why are you making all these complaints?
Switching them over, drying them, and folding them up.
That's about accurate on her complaints. But I would say as a man, you know, a lot of times we kind of take our space and say like, well, I do all these other things. But in reality, you know, the man is supposed to help and supply and do. And in today's world, we have this like ultra masculine, masculinity, and you got to do this and that. And we sometimes like take that for granted, or we take abuse of it in realities, right? In realities from a male's perspective. And it really isn't all about that. Sometimes she just wants love, she just wants attention. And that attention is really in the way of like help, right? And you know, assistance. Chanel does a phenomenal job around here, around the house, cooking and making sure that we're fed, taking care of in those spaces, cleaning up and all those. And sometimes it gets overwhelming, and there's a lot that goes into that. So asking for help, right, in a way that's like, hey, could you do this for me? Sometimes comes off and feels as if it was nagging, but in reality, it's an ask or a cry for help, or hey, I'm feeling some type of way or overwhelmed, and I need you to step in. So for me, it's been difficult at times to get through that, because it seems as if like I got one moment to sit down and breathe. After all the stuff that I've been dealing with this week, all the drama, whatever else, now you want me to get over here and put something in the washer. Like, why? But in reality, it's really not that bad. It's really a simple thing. But it goes a long way from a relationship standpoint, because those little things start to add up. Like, they really start to add up. You know, you're feeling overwhelmed over here, or communication's a little lax over there, but she just needs to get used to it. Those things can really lead to a bad space if not checked, or at least conversated about. And I think that's really the case here about both of these things that we're talking about, is just communication and talking through it. So what, in your opinion, has been the way for you to find some relief or understanding when it comes to like me being on your case? Like, what has helped you to get to a better space?
First, I have to go. First, I really have to like calm myself down, because I can go like and be like, ah! So really just calming myself down. Like, okay, relax, you know. Like, are you overthinking this more than what it is? Like, really, it's a mind thing, honestly. Like, you're battling like, okay, but why he say it like that? Okay, like I overthink it, and then I have to come out like, okay, honey, we gotta talk about this, because I'm overthinking it and I'm thinking it this way when you probably really didn't mean it that way. Or maybe I said something that has hurt him and I'm like, I really didn't mean it that way. So really like put myself in the other person's like shoes, in a sense, essentially, like, well, how, like, seeing it from that different perspective, and then being able to communicate. because that's the big piece. Is like I can shut down and just walk away, or just like shut the conversation down. Period. That doesn't help, because then I'm like, but I'm still hot right now. Like, you better not walk past that that bowl. Put that bowl in the sink. We seen a TikTok where it was like, is the oven still in the kitchen? And the lady like throw the pots and pans at him. And so,
trying to avoid conversation.
But essentially that's how it is. Like, you're trying to avoid the conversation, but like just go ahead and hash it out. Like, just have that conversation. It doesn't have to be an argument. That's something I'm truly learning. Like, it doesn't have to be an argument. Like, just have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's okay if I'm wrong. But like, I don't need the last word, and I don't have to prove my point. Because he's not attacking me. Like, it's not meant to come off to me as like, yeah, I'm out to get you, because that's not the person I married. So really just relaxing myself, calming down, getting my thoughts together, and then obviously putting the negative thoughts out, and then having that conversation, even if it's having a conversation about the negative thoughts, like, hey, but this is like kind of what I see it as, and then he's like, but that's not how I meant it. So, and then at that point you gotta drop it and let it go and walk away. You can't come back. We'll come back and laugh at certain things that we've done in the past, but like, it's not rehashing those things, because then you find yourself like, well, now these emotions coming all up, and I'm piling that on this conversation and this on that, and then there's a whole, like, I'm just mad at you now. And so, yeah, just making sure you do that.
Okay, fair. For me, I think one of the big things, as far as like feeling nagged or feel like she's always, kind of wanting things for herself, really it's taking a moment and saying, what's the real ask, right? Like, what's really happening? Take assessment of the full situation. A lot of times, as men, we can kind of get very logical, very straightforward, like, well, this is what I want to do for this reason, for that reason, but we don't always consider everything and everyone else. I'm not saying that every man is like that, but for me, that's the situation that I deal with, because in my brain, like, do you know what I dealt with all week? And so really stepping out of that is the thing for me to help, right? And finding resolution and building and making us stronger is like stepping out of my space and saying like, okay, put yourself in her shoes. She had a long day, stressful day at the workplace as well. That she had to come home, make sure that I'm taken care of, make sure that the baby is taken care of. And then, that concern and worry, although it seems simple, is not always simple, right? Like, there's a lot of things going into it, especially when you're still studying for boards, you're processing like what's next, or I need to study and all these things, and I still got to get this done or get that done. And so there were a lot of times where I had to step back and really assess like, okay, well, you're not studying for a boards test, right? Like, that pressure is not there. So step out of your comfort zone, help out, do the laundry. Now we got second floor laundry, thank the Lord. So all everybody gotta do, put your little laundry in the basket. I'll put it in the wash and the dry, and then come fold this, because I am not folding no clothes.
Not fold clothes.
That's not my thing. I don't do it. Just hang it up. And don't toss it on the floor, because somebody might have a heart attack about that. I wouldn't even put no shoes on in the house upstairs, but I was like, I'm trying to build you a pile for your folding in front of the TV that you like to do in the she loft. Okay?
That's the only time I'm in that she loft.
So I'm putting a pile in here. Why you get mad at me? Because I put a pile. Take assessment of where your wife may want the clothes to be. Fellas, just give y'all heads up. Don't put it on the floor.
And give them grace, because men are men, and they just will not do it the way we would do it. So give them grace. Like, it may not be the way I want it, but thank you for the effort and actually hearing me out. So give them grace.
Yeah. So that's us. That's our learning process. in 6 years, it's still a learning. As we talked about this conversation, a lot of this was yesterday, as far as like coming back from out of town and really working through. So just grateful for growth over 6 years, grateful for the opportunity to build a family. We have been extremely blessed in our life, although we've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations when it comes to the fertility side and struggling to have little ones and going from there. So we still though have been blessed, right? Like, we'll show a little bit of our video on this episode of like our kind of growth throughout, but You know, going from our first home on the west side of Columbus with a $900 mortgage payment.
Look,
Lord, take me back. Take me back.
You the one that picked all this out. Let's be clear.
Nah.
I didn't do this from this house. New Mexico, yeah, that was all you.
Yeah.
This one was all you.
Well, but that's the beauty of it is like we were able to purchase our first home before we got married. We got married. Then 6 months later, moved to New Mexico. All while trying to learn each other from a living together perspective, because that was the route that we took. We made that commitment when we first got together that, you know, we had both done our level of dirt and things and differences, and we were making our commitment to God and saying like, hey, you know, we want to do different this time. We want to make sure that we are where we need to be. So we've been truly and extremely blessed. Even in our marriage, we've had moments where we've gotten to the brink and felt like, you know what, this is it. We ain't doing this no more.
Like, I'm about to jump and see what's on the other side.
Right. You feeling froggy? But truly, we have been blessed and grateful for 6 years of marriage and looking forward to many, many more years together.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Yeah. Not taking the seatbelt off. Remember, it's the roller coaster. So
it's true.
I'm down. I'm riding.
All right, y'all. Well, listen, we're going to keep this series going. Again, if you have questions, things that you want to know from our relationship or what our advice would be, please leave it down in the comments. Let us know. Communicate. Please like, subscribe, and share it. Share it with others that are out there, because this whole point of doing this is really to try to help other young couples that are either married, that are looking at getting married. So if there are questions even there from that perspective of courting or however, you know, we would love to talk about those, whatever topics are important to you. So please drop those down in the bottom in the comments, and please like and subscribe and share.
See you next Sunday.
See ya. Peace.